Hello, today I'm going to do a review of my Surly Long Haul Trucker touring bike. As those of you that subscribe to my channel probably have seen this bike and know that I've had it for a few years now. I've got right around 10,000 miles on it now, and I thought I'd do a quick review. Now, many of you probably know that Surly discontinued this model, and I'll discuss that towards the end of the video and my thoughts on that. Yeah, I'd like to get started on doing a review of my Surly Long Haul Trucker, and I hope you enjoy. All right, well, let's start with what's stock on this bike. What have I kept? What has lasted the whole 10,000 miles? To start off, the wheels, or the rims, they're 700s, and they are a Lexus DH19 rims, and haven't had any issues with them. They have 36 spokes, which is what you want for touring. Handlebars, I kept the stock handlebars. They're drop bars, and I got used to them. I got some nice cushy bar tape on it, and they perform nicely for me. Front and rear hubs, still got the same front and rear hubs on there. Those are Shimano Dior LX hubs, both front and rear. Front and rear derailleur. Front is the Shimano Soria, and the rear is the Shimano Dior XT. They perform flawlessly, haven't had any issues at all. I still have the original chain ring and bottom bracket. It's all going strong, haven't had any issues, perform flawlessly. It's a 3x10 SACE system with a cassette and the front chain ring, and that is really ideal for touring and carrying loads and going up hills. I don't use the largest chain ring that often. Occasionally I do if I have a tailwind and I really want to fly, but for the most part I'm in the middle or small one. But it's, like I said previously, it's the original chain ring. It's starting to get worn. The middle chain ring, which I use the most, is starting to get worn, and I'll have to replace that fairly soon. I have the original Cane Creek stem on here. I left all of the spacers on there. I wanted that comfortable position when you're riding long distances. It's more of an upright position. You're not hunched over for hour on end when you're on a long tour, and it's a very comfortable riding position. Okay, so what have I replaced? Well, obviously I've replaced my rear cassette and chain as needed. After a while your chain gets stretched out and your cassette needs to be replaced occasionally. So yeah, regular maintenance on the chain and cassette, had those replaced when I needed to. I had the brake cables and the shifting cables were replaced once. Over time you get a little stretching on them, and you do need to replace those from time to time, but honestly, one time over 10,000 miles, it really isn't too bad. One of my bar end shifters wasn't working right for some reason. Honestly, I don't know if it was really the bar end shifter or another issue, but my local bike shop couldn't figure out what was going on. We replaced the bar end shifter, and the shifting seemed to improve quite a bit, so that has been replaced. I replaced the first set of pedals that I had on here with these platform pedals. These are the Chester Race Face platform pedals. They have a nice big platform for your feet and some pegs on there so your feet don't slip off. I just prefer platform pedals over clipless, and for a while I was running toe clips and decided to go with platform. It's a little easier when you're in situations where there's a lot of traffic and your feet have to come off the pedals quite a bit. So I've been, with platform pedals for a long time now, and I'm going to stick with these. They just work well. Very simple. The tires, I replaced the original tires, obviously. I replaced those around 4,000 miles. I had was running Continental touring tires. That's what came with the bike. And I started getting a lot of flats around 4,000 miles. So I switched to the Schwalbe Marathon tires, and they have just done a great job. I really like these tires, and I'll get another set of tires like these when these wear out. But they're just now at around the 6,000 mile mark, just now starting to show a little wear in the middle bead. But yeah, very few flats, maybe one or two over the course of 6,000 miles. And that's usually wire from truck tires or something like that that happens to get through. But no, I'm very satisfied with these Marathons. They are great tires. So what have I added to this bike for my touring setup and honestly my overall riding setup? Because I ride this bike a lot. I probably ride this bike 80% of the time. I have two bikes. My other bike is a mountain bike, and I just love this bike. It's comfortable, and I ride it a ton. And yeah, I added some Planet Bike Cascadia fenders, the aluminum ones, both front and rear with the mud flap. And it just is a nice addition when it's raining and you're touring or anytime you're riding. Everything can get soaked and dirty if you don't have fenders, and I just wouldn't have a touring bike without fenders. Okay, racks. My front rack is a Tubus Terra lowrider, and that is an awesome rack. I really enjoy this rack immensely. It's solid and it's streamlined, and the panniers just fit on there like they were meant to be there. So really like the Tubus Terra. The rear rack is a Bontrager Expedition, and this just happened to be the rear rack that they had available at my local bike shop when I purchased my bike. And it's a solid rack, and my rear panniers fit on there just nicely, and I'm really happy with this rack. I have a Toe Peak Road Morph G bike pump, and I don't get a lot of flat tires, but when I do, I like to be able to inflate those without a lot of trouble. And the Toe Peak Road Morph is an excellent bike pump. It's got the gauge on it, pressure gauge on it. It's got a foot peg. Just a really nice bike pump. Of course, I've got the 3 water bottle cages, the 2 standard ones here, and the one on the downside of the down tube. That cage there, these are 700 wheels. And with the fenders on, you have to be careful. You do get a little bit of overlap. Your toes may hit if you're not careful. And a long water bottle will not fit in there. So I have to use a stubby bottle there, which is fine. Of course, I've got a bike computer. This is made by Sigma. And when I got it, I thought it had a thermometer on it, but it didn't. So I picked up one of these STEM Captain's thermometers so I can know what the temperature is when I'm out on the road. I have a Miracle bike mirror, and I just really like this product because the mirror, it gives you a field of view that is large, and some of the mirrors out there, boy, they're just really not worth it. They don't give you much of a view at all, but these Miracle mirrors I found are really excellent. Of course, the Miracle mirrors are intended to be mounted in the end of your handlebars. And unfortunately, with the long haul trucker and a lot of touring bikes, you have bar end shifters and you can't mount them in that position. So I had to MacGyver fix for that. So I utilized a reflector seat post clamp and mounted it to that, and it works really, really nice. All right, lights. I have a Planet Bike Blaze that's mounted on the upper fork with a Paul Gino mount. My rear light is another Planet Bike. This is the Grateful Red model. Both of the front and the rear lights are fantastic. They work great, and I really don't ride much at night, but if I have to, or even when it's starting to get a little dark in the evening or early morning, I don't really worry about it. People should be able to see me fine, and even in the pitch black, I've used my headlight and I've been able to see just fine. All right, as many of you know, the Surly bikes, and especially the long haul trucker, disc trucker, any of their models, they do not come with a kickstand. In fact, they don't even recommend you mounting one on the bike. The steel frame can be damaged. So, but as you see, I have a kickstand. It's a double leg kickstand. It's a Plesher, and I'll go around to the other side and I'll show you how it was mounted safely. Well, Surly saw the need for cyclists to have a kickstand. I like kickstands. They're convenient, and yeah, it's a better way to take care of your bike. I don't like it falling over or always having to find something to lean up against or find a stick or something. Yeah, in order to mount a kickstand on the Surly Long Haul Trucker or any of their bikes, you need this kickstand plate, and it sandwiches your chainstay and protects it, and the stress and tightening the bolt is all on the clamp for the most part. It protects your frame from any damage, and yeah, if you want a kickstand on your bike, your Surly, you need to get one of these. I've always felt that it would have been nice if they would have made an option to attach a kickstand back here and get rid of these spoke holders. Honestly, the spokes can go in my panniers, or I can find another spot for them. It'd be a lot nicer if Surly would integrate a place to mount a kickstand on their frame right back here. Probably one of the most important upgrades I made on this bike was the saddle. The saddle that came stock on this bike was pretty much garbage. It was terribly uncomfortable. Well, at least it was for me. So I replaced it with a Brooks Flyer saddle, and it's the sprung saddle, so it takes a little bit of the jolt out of bumps, and it is a leather saddle, so it does have a short break-in period. Honestly, it wasn't that bad. I found it comfortable right off the bat. This saddle is very, very comfy, and it's got over 10,000 miles on it now. I had it for a little while on a previous bike, and so it's getting towards the end of its life, and we'll get another one because it was so darn comfortable. And last but not least, I have a bell on here. It helps to let people know when you're coming up behind them so they can get out of the way. And yeah, it's not totally necessary, but it's a nice thing to have on your bike. All right, as I mentioned in the beginning, Surly did discontinue the long haul trucker. It's the rim brake model, and obviously, need to mention the brakes as well. I did actually just replace the original brake pads. So 10,000 miles on the original brake pads was pretty nice. They started to get a little dry rot in them, so it was my choice to replace them. They probably still had a little more life in them, but thought as long as I had it in the bike shop for a tune-up, I'd get the brake pads replaced. So yeah, they did discontinue the long haul trucker with the rim brakes, and I understand that. I don't have a problem with that. That's totally understandable, as a company. Surly is no longer making bikes with rim brakes, and their frames are all set up for disc brakes, which is the norm now. And I'm not going to argue the merits of rim brakes versus disc brakes. I honestly know that disc brakes, I have disc brakes on my mountain bike, and they are far superior brakes in stopping your bike. But honestly, when I bought this bike, it didn't bother me that it had rim brakes. I could have got the disc trucker, but just, I don't know, I just decided to get the long haul trucker, and it's been fine. I don't worry about descending hills loaded. I know how to manage my brakes on a descent. With your rim brakes, you have to be careful not to overheat your rims, and yeah. So honestly, rim brake bikes have been around for many years, and people have been traveling all across the world with them, and they work fine, and they're easy to repair and change out when you need to. They're just real basic. So yeah, I really didn't bother me when I purchased a rim brakes instead of the disc brake model. Now, Surly did come out with, they still carry the disc trucker. Previously, the disc trucker in previous years was essentially this bike with disc brakes. You could get, you could either get the 26-inch wheels or the 700s, but it was essentially the same bike. When they came out, when they discontinued the long haul trucker and they came out with the new disc trucker, I was really quite surprised. It had totally different geometry, and honestly, boy, it had 32 spokes, which I really would not use for touring. I know now they've upgraded to 36, I believe, or you at least have that option to get wheels with and rims with 36 spokes. But yeah, to be honest, it looked more like a gravel bike to me. No more bar end shifters. They went with drifters. I don't have a problem with that. That's fine. But yeah, the chainstay isn't as long, and for all essential purposes, it looks a lot like the gravel bikes that are out there now. I'm sure it's a fine touring bike, and I'm not here to criticize Surly for what they did. Can't stand the color they chose, and you don't really have any color options. But I'll stay away from that. That's another discussion for another day. But yeah, so I totally understand why Surly did that. But yeah, it's kind of sad to see this model go by the wayside. I guess I have a classic now, and I guess, honestly, the reason I wanted to do a review is because these bikes are still out there on the market, even though Surly doesn't sell them. You see them all the time being sold used or fairly new. So if you really want a Surly long haul trucker, you can still find it out there. So hopefully this review has given you some insight about the bike, and if you're interested in one, you come across one out there that you might feel like you might want to pick up, then hopefully I've given you something to think about towards purchasing that. And yeah, hope you've enjoyed this review. I've totally enjoyed this bike. It's been a joy to ride. I've been on several tours with this, fully loaded front and rear panniers, tent on top, handlebar bag here, and it just rides beautifully, and really enjoy the bike. And I'm honestly looking forward to having it for several more years. And yeah, really love the bike, and it's been very awesome and very few problems. Surly made a tank when they made this. It's heavy, I know that, but boy is it solid, and I really appreciate this bike immensely. Hope you've enjoyed the review. If you liked it, please leave a like and consider subscribing to my channel. I put out hiking videos, backpacking videos, a lot of bike trip videos, and just a lot of different outdoor activities that I do. And if you appreciate that kind of thing, consider subscribing to my channel. So thanks for watching, and have a great day.